Michael Flores. If he gets stopped right here, it's over. If he scores, they still have a chance. They'll need Gutierrez to come up huge. Taft, the number 2 team from the north, the number 6 seed in the regional. Can Cinderella stay alive? Right now they are poised. And Montoy will get the call to seal the deal. How fitting it would be. Ricky Montoy misses. Mount Sac stays alive. Oh, serious drama here in penalties. So Montoy, who had a brilliant save of Miguel Martinez's penalty kick attempt, goes wide right of the goal. Gutierrez didn't even have to do anything. He guessed right, and he might have been there anyway. So here's Juan Sanchez for Mount Sac. Montoy stuttering up and down, and he is wrong-footed as Sanchez puts that into the back of the twine. Back and forth we go. Fabian Roman. That is saved, and Mount Sac punches their ticket to Sunday. What a turn of events. Taft College 1 goal away in the penalty kicks. Ricky Montoy, who had been so good, had a chance to seal the deal. Instead, he goes wide right on the ensuing penalty kick attempt. Juan Sanchez puts it in. And then Gutierrez saves the day for Mount San Antonio College. Mount Sac a winner in penalties, 5-4 on top of Taft College. Heartbreak for the Cougars. We're back in a moment here on SoCalCollegeSports.com. We are 5 minutes away and counting from the start of semifinal number 2 for the women. Game 4 today on our broadcast slate for SoCalCollegeSports.com's continuing coverage of the 3C2A 2016 soccer finals for both the men's and the women's. Mike Cepeda, Jeff Stoynoff, Steve Hoffman, Matt Henson, and Jorge Cepeda. The entire crew here, +1 here at SoCalCollegeSports.com. Happy you've joined us throughout the day, and we look forward to bringing you coverage of the final game of today's action. Stay tuned, everybody. Back in about 5 minutes.
Today's broadcast is brought to you in part by eTeamSponsor.com. IDX, power, giving you the power to create. Jostens, and Nevco.
And we welcome you back to Ventura College for Game 4 of our quadruple header, the 3C2A Soccer Championships, here on SoCalCollegeSports.com. Jeff Stoynoff, joined by Coach Steve Hoffman, here as we return to the women's bracket in our second semifinal. Santa Barbara City College taking on Diablo Valley College, the top seed in the north. Intriguing matchup here on paper between Santa Barbara College, a Cinderella run here that, Hoffy, you are familiar with.
Very, unfortunately.
14 seed in the South bracket, but they have come through a play-in game and then 3 rounds to make it here to the state championship under the leadership of Coach John Sisterson. And I had an opportunity to speak very briefly with Coach Sisterson earlier in the week, and one of the things he talked about was the confidence they feel for a couple of reasons. One is that they're used to playing on turf. This is a turf field as opposed to the grass. And then the other one was that they have played at night, including in the matchup with Ventura last week. Diablo Valley College plays on the grass and then also tends to play earlier in the day. But let's start with the turf question. Can you talk a little bit about what the difference is when you're talking about playing on turf versus on grass and what the advantage might be for Santa Barbara?
Well, turf's unforgiving. If you have a bad touch, you've lost the ball. And, most of the grass fields probably are a little bit wider and play a little bit slower, depending on the type of grass that are in there. But ultimately, I think it comes down to technical ability individually. And John's team play a very kind of set style of play. They're going to play a little bit more direct, and they press a lot, very high energy, and they do it very, very well. Now, the problem they've had at sometimes in the season is slow starts. So I'd say for John's team tonight, they just need to not have a slow start. Not necessarily score, but not have a slow start.
Yeah, they've taken the lead early in each of the last 3 games. In as early as the 4th minute in the matchup with Ventura there in round 2. But then also it was Catherine Sheehy who scored in the 13th minute, the only goal against Santiago Canyon. So it's been a departure from that problem in the last 3 games, and not surprisingly, it's helped turn it around for a team that overall is 16-6-1 coming in. So something to watch for.
Well,
Can they continue to get that fast start?
I told local media people that when we drew Santa Barbara again, they're a very, very good team, and probably shouldn't be seeded where they are, but that's the way the seeding works.
Yeah.
Great win for them against Santiago Canyon. Not many teams in the last 10 years have gone there and done that. So, I'm a big friend of John's. Credit to him and the girls. They've done a great job. And, there's always a competition there with all of us. But they represent the Western State Conference, so we want to see them do well. And Diablo Valley, Cinderella story as well, because 2-3 years ago, they weren't winning many games.
Yep.
So they've come a long way, and I've heard they play some great soccer. Looks like their centre forward, I'm just looking at it, she's got hit in the face in the first minute.
But she down on the turf.
She looks
Wounds
like
up and takes that one.
So that's, is that Dazinia Dargan? Is that who that is, number 9? I think it is.
Yes, Daziana Dargan, an all-region player.
She looks like a very strong player. If you look at the size of her physically, and I would imagine she's got a little bit of power there. So
well, we know one other thing early on. She's tough.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, it's number 7. Sorry,
got to her feet, and we'll have to check that. That might be Noelle Lemus. I believe that is Noelle Lemos. She is listed as sometimes being number 25, sometimes number 7. So a center forward, and it looks like that will be Noelle Lemos. So I think you were right on the first call there, Hoffy. I think you had it.
And she, like you said, she's been on fire in the playoffs.
Yes,
freshman. And, no fear. Uncharted territory for both teams. They've never been this far in the playoffs. So, it's not like we had the earlier game with Cerritos where they've got that heritage of being there, going to the finals. And Santa Barbara, I'm very excited for the game. I think it's going to be end-to-end. I think both teams will go for it.
If there's a magic number for Santa Barbara in this matchup, it's to try to get to 2 goals. When Diablo Valley has allowed 1 goal or fewer, they're 16-0-5 on the season. When they've allowed 2 goals or more, they're just 1-1-1.
Yeah, that's the tough thing. He's getting there.
Yeah.
Right? A great ball in. And there's
centered ball. Lemos had an opportunity but couldn't quite corral it. Instead, we'll see the first save for Alejandra Camarillo.
I never got a chance to speak to John about the Santiago game, but I know that they probably defended really well there to keep that lead. And tonight, that's for me the keys to this game for Santa Barbara is defend well, and number 4, I think he's one of the best players in the state. She's a left-sided player.
Yeah.
I believe her name is Sheedy.
Catherine Sheehy.
She scored some goals. She's a real handful. I mean, she has great pace.
It was Sheehy who had the tally in the victory over Santiago Canyon in the 13th minute. In fact, she's working on a streak of 2 consecutive games with a goal. She also scored early in the game against Ventura. So Catherine Sheehy comes in playing very well. And we'll have our first corner kick.
That was the key to our 2 wins against Santa Barbara was making sure that we didn't let her have the ball so much. It's a good ball.
Pop flied right in front of the net, and the header wide of the mark.
Josefina van der Burg is a handful, I will tell you. She's a Norwegian kid and got good size, very, very tough on the ball, posts up really well. She headed the ball over the crossbar. She'll be key for Santa Barbara on set pieces. There's no doubt about that. Yeah,
one of those players that uses the physicality to kind of plant themselves right in front of the net and ward people off. She comes in with 18 goals, and that actually leads the Vaqueros.
If you see her run, she's very strong, very powerful.
So we'll have a throw in.
You know,
and the Vaqueros will set up. Ball won by Lemos, and she elects to fire it in.
And Santa Barbara actually in midfield, 3 and 7 are very small players. But let me tell you something, they cover an immense amount of ground. They work so hard. You know, people look at Alex Benitez and they think, you know, she's tiny. But let me tell you, that kid works. She's the engine room for them.
Working on the far side. Centered out, and the Vikings going to try and set something up, and it's cleared away. And Blaine Shoffett had it momentarily, but they'll award the ball to the Vaqueros.
Interesting formations. Looks like Diablo's playing 1 high, then 3 behind them, 4 behind them. We'll see how it transitions. John will play 4-3-3, 3 in the midfield, 3 up top, and then your traditional 4 at the back. And they'll play a little bit flat. They won't play deep, and they'll try and make the field small so they can press.
And one of the things he talked about as being a strength for this team was he felt that they were highly interchangeable and very versatile. So might see something different as the game progresses, depending.
I think they've got that ability to play short passes, but they have, with Sheedy, they have the ability to play that long ball and penetrate. And also, Van der Burg, she's so good with her back to goal. You can play in and then play off of her. And that's key, you know. Now, I think the young lady, Noel Lamus, looks similar centre forward in stature. Now, whether they can play into her and play off her, I'm not sure. But you'll see as this game progresses that Van der Burg is a very aggressive, good player. You know, she's one of those players that you want on your team, you don't want to play against, right?
So now all she needs to learn to do is learn how to rile up the opposing crowd. Get them. Those are usually the ones you want to.
She's pretty good at doing that, believe me. So, but yeah, and Santa Barbara probably, you know, they've lost some matches and a couple of strange ones. But in the conference, I felt they were the best team besides ourselves. And Moore Park were right there, but I felt comfortable when you know, Moore Park were playing Santa Barbara towards the end of the season. It was the last game. And I picked Santa Barbara to win, and they did a great job. They had a little lackluster first half again. But right now, I'd say 6 minutes in, Santa Barbara doing what they'd want to do, apart from that one little hiccup.
Well, it's funny that you would talk about perhaps some bad bounces or some bad luck, because those are exactly the words that Coach Sisterson used, talking about this team and indicating about the seeding going into the tournament, and that their confidence never wavered because they felt like early on in the season they had a couple of bad breaks that went against them and maybe could have gone the other way, and then it's a completely different story on the season. So he described this as a very self-confident team, very focused.
Yeah, no, and they're very, very aggressive as well. And you've got to have that aggression when you're playing teams from the north or from the Orange County area. You know, you have to be physically strong, mentally strong, and I think that's one of the characteristics this team showed, is that mentally they're tough and they stay focused. You know, which are good keys for their team. Set pieces can be an issue. We scored off a set piece against them in the playoff game. It wasn't allowed, but they struggled a little bit with them. Hopefully they'll drop a little bit deep.
This one sent short of the box, cleared out. Vaqueros trying to mount a counter. They'll send it forward. Shoffett giving chase, and Shoffett's going to win the ball. Shoffett coming in, and a diving stop made by McLaughlin.
Great transition. Great transition.
Shoffett flashing some speed. able to track that ball down.
In the earlier game with the guys, we never saw that transition, playing in behind them. That's what Santa Barbara do really well. That's the bread and butter. They'll get a ball, they'll play it into space, and they got some wheels up front.
Ruvalcaba
Good build.
fans it out.
Nice build up.
Ramos
Nice
on the near side, looking
nice.
for the center, blocked out front. Track down near the line. This one's going to go out of play. It'll be a throw in coming from Daisiana Dargan.
Ramos is a nice little crafty left foot, little winger that looks to take people on.
Nearly split the double team there, and instead the Vaqueros just have to fire it out of play. Get another throw in. This will be Jess Jaime. Gets it inside, and this is where Ruvalcaba will start to go to work. Has it poked away. Loose ball out front, and the Vaqueros have it. And the teams trade turnovers back and forth.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see the kind of possession we saw in the men's game, Moore Park and Oxnard and Fresno. A lot of possession soccer. I think this one is going to be a little bit more direct because it looks like both teams have got a little bit of speed. Nice ball.
Touch pass from Malara as they work the far side. Lemos had it momentarily, poked away. The fight continues. The Vikings have it. And this one just
a little misread, wasn't it? Thought she was going to go and she didn't go.
Yeah, Malara on the miscommunication, and the ball will go back to Santa Barbara, just underway, moving into the 10th minute.
Interesting enough, both teams 59 goals scored for Diablo and 58 for Santa Barbara. So both teams can score goals. They know where the net is.
And ball now with the Vikings at midfield. Swung across. Ramos splits a couple of defenders but loses the handle. Back outside but kept in by Lindemann.
Dangerous, dangerous. Ooh.
A pass behind. Lemos got a left foot on it but fired it wide.
A flag went up for offside. It was very, very close, but that's a great ball in behind the back four.
Well, Lemos, I asked specifically about Lemos and how her reputation is starting to precede her a bit when I talked to Coach Sisterson. He was aware of the center forward and what she had been able to do in recent games, so I asked Coach Mullins of Diablo Valley about that, and she expressed little surprise about that and said that they expect that they would know where Noelle Lemos was, but that didn't mean that that's a different story from being able to stop Noelle Lemos.
Yeah, and again,
take down on the near side. Ramos goes down.
Ramos has looked very, very good going forward early in this game. It looks like, the Santa Barbara kid, young Sofit, is going to have a handful to do tonight. But I love that the kid already. I can see the Lemus can play. She's got, 19 goals, a couple of assists on the season. You don't get those goals unless you're a good player.
And Ramos set up the goal.
Very nice ball. Well done. Well defended by Santa Barbara.
Vikings trying to head it back in, but the ball will go over to Santa Barbara. Started to make the point that Lemos scored the goal against San Joaquin Delta in the 1-0 win in round 3 to advance here to the state championship. And that goal was set up by Carla Ramos on the assist. So Ramos working well with Lemos, no doubt for much of the season.
Yeah, I mean, she's obviously 8 goals, 5 assists. She's more of an assist queen. And then how do you say her last name? Ruvalcaba, Vanessa.
Ruvalcaba.
Ruvalcaba, she's right in there with 6 assists. So, they're their big 3. We were talking about that in the men's game, and every team seems to have the 3 key players. I think Santa Barbara is 12, which is Vanda Berg, and I think she on the outside is also. And I think the goalkeeper for Santa Barbara is excellent. She made some great saves against my team in the 3 games we played against them. So I think that that might be their big 3, maybe not on the field, one's in goals.
You're watching the state championships, men's and women's soccer here on SoCalCollegeSports.com, brought to you by Joe Cap Real Estate. Remind everybody, get the word out. We're going to be here for the remainder of our game here tonight, but we'll also be back on Sunday for the men's and women's championship. So you can catch the entirety of the men's and women's championship right here on SoCalCollegeSports.com. This one hooked toward the goal, an easy save for McLaughlin. But another shot on goal for Santa Barbara here in the 13th minute.
He again, you know, she's had an influence on the game, and now Ramos is at the other end with that influence.
Trying to center this one. But it's the Vaqueros who briefly win the ball and then give it back. Madeline Perry had it momentarily, but lost the handle. And as always, we welcome your feedback here on SoCalCollegeSports.com. You can reach out to us. Our email address, SoCalCollegeSports@hotmail.com. Want to hear from you. Also, check in on Twitter at SoCalCollegeSpo. And the throw in from Jaime. Going back to Ramos, tiptoeing the near side. Ramos in, looking to center. Knocked down at the point of attack. Sent back out to midfield. Corralled by Dargan. And off to Malara.
I think the interesting thing with both teams, both left forwards, Sheehy and Ramos, are going to be the keys to this game. You can see it developing. Diablo Valley look to play left. They haven't played much on the right. And Santa Barbara look to play left as well.
Yep.
So it's going to be interesting. It's a bit of a switch from Santa Barbara tactically, switching the outside backs, which is probably it's a good move. Wolf has come over to the right back position, and Gardina Maya has gone left back, which really hasn't had a lot to do. But I think maybe a better matchup with 17 and with Ramos.
Lemos in a battle. Can't keep it. But the Vikings win the ball. Well, it's interesting. It's an interesting similarity that it looks like both teams are maybe going to try and work that left side. Ultimately, I would imagine in the hopes of getting it to the center forward on each case, whether it be Lemos or Vanderberg.
Yeah. I mean, the quality ball is what they're looking for. Get behind, and what we call the money ball. Get to the end line, cross the ball, and look to finish. Diablo's probably had a little bit more possession. A little bit more threatening, but this is where Santa Barbara in this transition game, they're very quick.
Trying to get something, and we already saw it.
She again, you know, she really is kind of like the kid Rivera that came into the men's game. She got a little bit of pace that you don't often see.
Throw in on the far side. And the Vaqueros win the ball. Vanderberg bobbles and back to the Vikings. Center it up with Ruvalcaba.
Very nicely done.
Ruvalcaba on the dribble.
It's going to come left.
Across to
Ramos.
Dargan, looking for Ramos. Ramos in from the left. Strong defense and a steal for Santa Barbara. Ramos able to get it back. Trying to split through the double team, and she does. Ramos in from the left. Tries to dial one up, but couldn't get the shot off, and is cleared away. Lindsay Wolf has to fire it out of play. That's a terrific individual effort from Ramos, splitting the double team.
She has very fast feet. She's quick. All the things you want in an outside player. Once again, Santa Barbara's transition game.
Shoffett already flashed the speed. In from the right, looking for a center. Puts it on net. Blocked out front. Boy, McLaughlin sliding over, and I think she's already demonstrated the all-region pedigree. That's a great save on Shoffett.
A great save, and really, Sheedy, if she stays on the back post, the cross is probably better, but she's anxious to get near post. But that was a good save.
Well, there's, for the second time here in the first 17 minutes, there's Shoffett running past the Viking defense. When you have a player like that who's maybe the fastest player out on the field, what's the adjustment?
Well, you got to make a play in front of you. You got to shut her down, not let her have those runs. But that's the strength of this Santa Barbara team. Transition, nice header.
Just over the crossbar and out of play.
And that was Sheedy again. Yeah,
Yeah, it sounds so simple. You got to keep her in front of you, but Shofford right now is making that very tricky with the.
You almost want to take and force her to go inside into cover, rather than going on the outside of the field, because she's definitely got your beat for pace. Maybe force her inside, step onto her right foot and make her go inside, just because you got help. But the transition game's tremendous. It's fast. It's like if you look at that last move, it was from one box to the other box within 2 or 3 seconds.
Yeah. Vanderberg, meanwhile, tried to find Sheehy on a drop pass, but Sheehy couldn't quite get there as the teams battle on the far side. The Vaqueros have it. Another entry pass, too strong. Shofford in the area. And the goal kick out to midfield. Saperstein sends it over to the far side, but the Vikings have the ball. Ramos launches one into the box, but overshoots Lemos.
Nice early entry pass, though. A little different than taking the player on. Maybe the 17 switching has kind of changed her influence because she's a little bit faster. But I still think that Ramos is going to be a key in this game.
Do you see at this point, is there a concerted effort to collapse on Lemos at this point for Santa Barbara?
No, I think Santa Barbara's troubles are not going to come from Lemos. I think they've got to really focus on Ramos, because in the beginning of this game, both her and Sheeny for Santa Barbara have been key players. They're influencing the game, no doubt about it. Santa Barbara have made a change, which is taken off number 5, I believe.
Fee Van Deelen coming in, and Caitlin Saperstein.
Saperstein does a lot of work for them, and a lot of pleasant work, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Working. Key, number 5, very key player for Santa Barbara.
Does the stuff that doesn't show up in the box score,
Exactly.
as the saying goes.
Very much so. But here's that run. Look at the run. She's already making that run, and they hit that ball really well. They do a very, very good job of doing that.
Vikings back on that one, able to recover. Yeah, they're making an effort, it appears, over and over again to try and get the ball to Sheehy. This one in the center, headed toward the net and sent back out. Benitez sends it back out, and the shot in.
You can see the pattern of play with Santa Barbara. It's 1-2 short passes, then an entry pass.
Yeah, that short, long kind of.
Exactly, short, long. That time they played along the back four really well, but the ultimate goal is to play that ball behind and have their target players run off.
Yeah, maybe kind of with the understanding that they have the speed on the outside. You kind of want to lull them a little bit and then try to get a sprint behind with a long pass.
And they don't play an awful lot into Van Berg. They don't really play a lot to her. They play to the outside, so it's deceiving because you've got to still mark that number 9, who plays as a number 9 in the system.
Vikings trying to mount a counter. They wanted Ramos on the give and go. She's not going to be able to track that one down, and it's Sarah Vale.
Good idea, though. Again, playing in behind, similar to what Santa Barbara want to do. They want to try and get end line.
Sarah Vale, who's checked in, had the lone goal in the round 1 victory over Canyons, a 1-0 win. And it was good timing for Vale, her first goal of the season, a game winner in postseason play against Canyons.
Well, they're the things that dreams are made of, right?
It's got to be a pretty good feeling. Gardenia Maya working on the far side, but the pass juggled, and the turnover back to the Vikings. We'll see if they can mount a counter. Ramos on the touch pass.
Nice, easy ball. Very nice.
A move by Ruvalcaba, and she goes down, and the foul called.
I don't think it was intentional. She left her leg, dragging her leg, so I don't think it was a cautionable offence. But, I'm sure these guys have got a set-piece person that can do it. This is a distance that female players in particular like, because they can hit that upper V with a little bit of in.
Well, it's Ruvalcaba and Malara both lining up.
I think Rubalcaba's going for the front post here, right?
Tries the angle, and just over the crossbar.
Just a little bit high, and I think maybe the keeper gets that. You know, if it's a little bit lower, maybe the touch over the crossbar. But the game's pretty even. We've had breakaways both ends.
Yep.
Probably the Santa Barbara chance was the best chance we've had in the first 22 minutes.
Yeah, we move into the 23rd minute. And still no score. Touch pass up ahead. And sent out of play by Diablo Valley. And we'll have a throw-in on the far side by Gardenia Maya. Still spreading out with the same forward there with Sheehy on the far side. Schaffet on the near side, Vanderberg in the middle.
There's that entry pass again.
Lob pass to the far side. Schaffet trying to track it down, and she will.
Very good, very well done.
Has some room, moving back to the left. Tries to leave a pass for Vanderberg. Wide of the mark, Ruvalcaba comes out with it.
Little bit of pace again from Sheehy. Steals the ball back when you don't think she's going to. Here's the touch into space.
Sheehy working on the far side. Good defense. And the ball won for the moment by Diablo Valley. But they send it back out. Are they going to say it was out of bounds?
Yeah, out for a throw-in, but Sheehy again, tremendous work rate to win that ball back.
Yep. Well,
this is where Vandenberg is very strong. Well done. Defensively well done.
Yep. They send it back out. I want to say we talked a little bit about that, trying to get the ball inside and then back out. As they have it more or less deep in Diablo Valley territory. And I think, ironically, coaches, as I think about it, sometimes when they're deep in territory, it negates some of the speed advantage on the outside.
Correct.
You want to try and create a little spacing again.
Well, in actual fact, Diablo would be better holding a deeper line because of the speed.
Yeah.
But it can hurt you in transition, you know. Oh, that's a nice ball. That's a lovely ball.
Dargan up ahead to Lemos, tries to lob it, but it's over everything.
Very, very good ball from Dargan to Lemus. A little bit unlucky. But again, that's you go from one end to the other in this game.
Yep.
You can't turn off because there's not much, let's say, possession in midfield. We're not seeing 10, 12 passes. We're seeing that short, long game, which is good because it's fun. It gets behind. It's exciting for the crowd. And, you know, I think that, again, it's the one mistake. Who's got the quality? Which one of these four special players that can actually steal this one for them?
Goal kick fought for and controlled by Santa Barbara. Sent forward. And the Vikings send it back, and now they'll get it.
Looked like a handball. Hit them on the hand. I don't think it was an intentional handball, but it was a handball nevertheless.
So a free kick coming for Diablo Valley. Well, it appears as though that early on they were working the left side, as we talked about, but now it feels to me like there's been a bit of an adjustment. So now is there a counter?
Yeah,
offensively.
We're 25 minutes in, and you can see there's a little bit of a gap opening up in midfield between the backs and the forwards. And I think that's where early in the game, Diablo Valley did a little bit better job of closing that gap.
Pass behind Lemos.
That's the ball they like to hit. Nice and early, and then, of course, we know the pace of these kids up front.
Ramos.
Ramos is a good player. She just brought her in for the tackle.
Around. Centering pass behind Lemos and cleared out.
It's that final entry pass.
Ball sent out of play, and we'll have a throw in for Diablo Valley coming from Jaime.
If you look at that big hole in the middle of the field right now, where the V is on the field, you'll see that not many people in there. And now Diablo stepped up a little bit. That's the quarterback area. You'd like to see one player in there, which drop in there and kind of play the game from there.
Ruvalcaba between a double team, and again just sent out. Well, it looks to me as I watch it, Ruvalcaba has a little bit of that quarterback feel, good feet. And
I mean, I would say that you wanted to stay inside a little bit more because you can orchestrate, you can create stuff. you know. That's what I would say, you know. But again, Ramos is a key for them on the left here. Good ball.
Ramos
That's a
loses
very-
that one.
very
Touch
good-
pass up in front.
Very good combination.
Wolf in transition, but has it poked away. This is Ruvalcaba centering. This one lobbed to the far side, but nobody home, and Santa Barbara with it back. Montano. Santa Barbara working in their own end. Lob pass, too strong. Perhaps transition the other way. Ruvalcaba with a good move. Ruvalcaba
That's a good
fires on net, gets past Camarillo, but over the bar. Camarillo got just enough of it. Well, that almost slid through her hands.
Yeah, like I said, you know, I think one of the key players for this team is Camarillo, because that was, even though it went through her hands, it was an excellent shot. Excellent shot. And I tell you, the unsung hero right now for me is playing number 18, Megan Malara in midfield. She's holding as a 6, and she's doing a really good job in the for Diablo Valley. And because we lost Megan, Caitlin Sapstein for Santa Barbara, it looks like those two matched up. So, balls played on the ground, well cleared.
A battle for the ball. Ruvalcaba circling right.
Very nice ball.
Tries to drop a pass. And it's out of play. It'll go back to Santa Barbara. So Ruvalcaba tried the touch pass.
Good vision, trying to play it into space, and again, trying to get behind the defense to try and create that cross. Obviously, Lemus would like that. That's, I'm sure, her strength is getting balls pulled back for a finish.
Headed back, but nobody there, and Santa Barbara will have it. Long pass to Vanderberg, she can't quite control, but able to steal. Sheehy tries to leave a pass back to Diablo Valley. In transition, Lemos working on the far side. 2 defenders. Centering pass, Ramos went for the header but couldn't get it. Instead, the
Excellent
save
ball.
for Camarillo.
Camarillo did a good job again.
Ramos got up there, but I think he needed just a touch more vertical.
Excellent play, though. Excellent play.
This is Ramos.
Smart.
Blocked at the point. Sent back out.
Tactically, when Santa Barbara take goal kicks, they have a field player take the goal kick. So the field now, there's no offside in the game. Now, when Diablo Valley might realize that maybe in the second half, they might want to step up higher because they can head the ball back in and they're not offside. So it's a tactical thing that I'm not sure whether they'll do, but certainly we did it, and it's a very effective because you start higher up. Lemos turns lovely. Look at the turn. Strong 2-on-1. Very good.
Maintains the ball, the turnaround
And a shot.
on
Very
the
good.
frame, but the Camarillo there to scoop it up.
Yeah, she definitely Lemos looks like she could be a match winner if she's given the space and the time in the box. 2-on-1, and she got the shot off.
Yeah, you have to be impressed there with the combination of the footwork with the good size frame and able to ward off defenders. That's a tough combination. Sheehy working on the far side. Still in control. In from the left. Tried to center that one, and it's sent out of play.
Wins a corner, though, which is tremendous. Again, I mean, we went from Lemos shot to Sheedy in the other end of the field. So there's not a lot of play through midfield, but there's a lot of attacking.
And Sheehy similarly doing a good job there, warding off a defender and keeping control of that ball.
Looked like she'd lost it a couple of times. And the first corner they had, it was pretty close. We have 2 headers, I believe, two chances on corner kicks. Santa Barbara looked good on these set pieces.
Another opportunity here, coming from the far side.
Another good corner kick.
Lobbed in,
Well done by
but this one fought off by the Vikings and cleared out.
Yeah, the Vikings goalkeeper did a good job there. Came to the ball, won the ball. That's what you're supposed to do.
The winner of this one gets Cerritos College, the 4-time defending champion, at 2 o'clock on Sunday in the state championship. Sent ahead toward midfield, Lemos tries to fan it out. Dargan quickly descended upon, and it's the Vaqueros who have the steal. One-timer sent in. Sarah Vale trying to get behind the defense, but only green jerseys back. And it's McLaughlin who will give it the boot. Ramos with a little move. Still on the dribble, but loses the handle. Chloe Montano ends up with the steal. Santa Barbara working at midfield.
She loves to run with the ball. She loves to run, doesn't she?
All the way over to the right side.
It's a 55-yard run laterally, not
battling for the ball, both teams, and it's the Vikings who win it. Ruvalcaba has it stolen again. Back to Lindsay Wolf. As the teams trade possession. Now the Vikings on the attack. Lemos tries to fan that one out to the far side, now to play. 34th minute here in the opening half. Still scoreless. It's the top seed from the north, Diablo Valley, taking on Santa Barbara on a tremendous postseason run. 4 consecutive wins here in the postseason to go from the 14th seed, albeit a questionable 14th seed, I think, Javi.
I think what you'd say is a very, very good 14th. I mean, we see that in all kinds of tournaments, don't we? It's the NC2A basketball tournament.
Yep.
It's the team no one wants to play.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And, I think that in one sense, if you make it this far, nobody's a 14th seed. We're talking about the 1 and 2 seed here that came out. So I think everybody, obviously at this point, you've distinguished yourself, and especially with the run and the quality teams that Santa Barbara was able to get past.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they've done a great job. It's a great run. I mean, getting to this stage of the event, we were blessed to go there in 2007-8, and it's not easy. You've got to work, and when you get there, you can't be happy just to be there.
Yep.
And I think that's what this team's showing tonight. Santa Barbara are not just happy to be here; they've come to play. And that ball over the top,
looking for Shoffett again,
is really hard to defend.
Van Dargen had an opportunity but couldn't quite find the handle. Well, it's interesting that you use that terminology. That was how John Sisterson characterized this team, as said that they know it's going to be a battle here, but they like a battle. So that's a little bit of how they are on the field. So right where they want to be.
Well, I think, again, it's where you end the season and how you end the season. If you look at the run they've had, I mean, yes, they went to that first playoff game, but they beat Moore Park College before that, who'd only lost twice.
Yeah.
So they've really finished the season strongly. They've come from strength to strength. And, confidence is a massive factor in this game.
Yep.
And I think they're a super confident team right now. I don't think there's no way they feel inferior to any team.
Yeah.
Which is a credit to John and his staff.
Yeah, coming out of a very powerful conference, and where they went 6-3-1, but the feeling that this is a team that has grown in confidence as the season has gone on. The break's starting to go their way, and they're putting together some wins. Short passing on the inside. Dargan had it momentarily, but Santa Barbara maintains possession. The one-timer into the box, cleared out.
Again, you'll see that big ball comes in, and it's really style of play. It's like a boxing match where one guy wants the big punch and the other guy's jabbing. And Santa Barbara don't hang around. They get it, they play it in there, and they do it really well. That ball there again. Okay, maybe they won't get there, but the pressure that puts defenders under,
Yeah.
And I think Diablo want to get it, settle, and play,
Yeah.
and they're not allowing them to do that. So credit to Santa Barbara. 36 minutes in, I think that the nerves are gone now. I think they all realize that it's just another game in that respect, and now it's just a matter of challenging. And it's even. I think both teams are even, Steven.
Headed back out, loose ball. Again cleared. Lemos battling, but Santa Barbara with the ball. Well, I think that's what makes it so fascinating is you think back to our last game here between Oxnard and Fresno, and it looked like Oxnard was really putting the pressure on in the second half, and then all of a sudden it was Fresno who was able to get a quick transition and then a tremendous goal on a free kick and completely turn it around and end up winning that one 2-1 to advance. And, I think there's always a danger, isn't there, even when you're putting the pressure on, that just that quickly it can come back the other way.
Soccer's that kind of funny game, isn't
Yeah.
it? Where, you can be dominated for 90 minutes and still win a game. But,
Yeah.
but I think, especially the Oxnard game, I thought Oxnard played to their strengths.
Yeah.
And I thought Fresno, they just had, I think, a little bit better. Their stars shone. They went at people. And I think tonight we've seen it already early in the game. Now Ramos has gone out of the game a little bit, but she's still in the game. So I think the key is definitely Limas up front. I think probably the best chance of the game right now fell to her in about the 24th minute. But again, Santa Barbara's style of play it in there and bang it around, and it works,
Wolf rainbows one in, and Santa Barbara has possession. Sheehy has it poked away, the one-timer. And it's McLaughlin who will scoop it up in the 39th minute. So McLaughlin pop flies to midfield. Ramos can't quite handle it. Back to Santa Barbara. And it really feels like in the last about 10 or 15 minutes, it's been Santa Barbara in possession for a great majority of the time, Hoffy.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the field, I mean, Santa Barbara pressing, they're nice and high, and really, Diablo Valley have not looked good in transition. The thing with Limas is she's not a runner. She's not fast like Sheehy. So they're going to have to connect and play with her and play off of her rather than play behind for a run on. Whereas I think Santa Barbara can play that ball behind. They've got a lot of juice going forward.
Wolf on the throw in. A battle for the ball. Catherine Sullivan.
Got a handball. I'm not sure. It wasn't so intentional. But I think the next 6-7 minutes are going to be important to both teams. You come into halftime, and yourself. We said in the final semi-final of the Oxnard game, goals were scored in the 39th and the 44th minute. So this is a key time of the game. And like you say, Santa Barbara have been dominating a little bit. So. Well done.
Another steal. Guillen.
A lot of turnovers.
Loses the handle. Ramos has it back. Ruvalcaba will send it back in the one-timer into Santa Barbara territory. Vaqueros trying to mount a quick counter. This one sent out of play. It'll be a throw in for Wolf. And I see that Catherine Sullivan is back on the field after missing a couple of games.
She'll give them she's a big, strong player. She'll give them a little bit more up front. She'll work hard. And the nice thing about her, they can play her as a centre back as well. She's played there for him.
Schaffet on the throw in. Into traffic. This one fought for, out of play. And it will remain with Santa Barbara. Wolf again on the throw-in. Toward the box, but sent back out. And Diablo Valley will just clear it away.
Diablo Valley lost their way a little bit. That little possession game's gone. Santa Barbara are pressing and dominating. They're doing a really good job.
Wolf on the one-timer back in.
They can't get their foot on the ball, Diablo, because of the press from Lovely. Look again, Sophie. Lovely run.
Schaffet circling right
ball.
on the center.
Great ball.
Nobody home. Diablo Valley sends it out.
And then look how they push it back in right away.
Right back into the box. Headed outside in a battle for the ball. Out of play. Who will it belong to? I got to tell you, I don't think I can remember the last time I saw Diablo Valley actually complete a pass from one to a teammate. They have been relegated to really just clearing the ball out.
I think the style of Santa Barbara is to press and play early. And yourself, it's just like Hail Marys. There's a Hail Mary every 2 minutes. Not that, but it's intentional though.
Yeah.
We must remember that it's not by accident. It's not, people say kick and run. It's not that. There's a purpose to everything because of the strength. But I'm with you. Unfortunately, Diablo lost the rhythm a little bit.
Here's an opportunity. Ramos just lost the handle.
We haven't seen Ramos in the game at all.
Numbers developing. And now, perhaps for the first time in some time, an opportunity maybe for the Vikings to try and set something up. But A battle for the ball on the far side, but it will remain with Diablo Valley here in the 43rd minute.
I reversed that one. It's now gone to Santa Barbara.
Oh,
So
Santa Barbara will keep it.
Changed his mind. Again, you see the little drop back and then the direct ball and the press. Look at the pressure. Don't you just love that? The work.
Yeah, it appears to have somewhat rattled Diablo Valley as well.
Well, we talk about pressing in the game, and Santa Barbara are pressing really high, no time on the ball to connect, and they've taken Diablo totally out of the game.
Yeah.
Now what they need for this work is reward. It's 43 minutes in. I don't know how long they could play with this high energy.
Yeah. Well, it brings me to a question I was going to ask: is there a price to pay here, fatigue-wise, in employing this style?
Well, I think because Santa Barbara have had this week to recover, they played a lot of games in a short period of time, and obviously that helps you with your fitness. Yeah. I don't think it'll be that important, but I don't think they can keep this up for 90 minutes. And I still feel that Diablo get their foot on the ball and can play. They'll still, they'll still have a chance to get into this one.
Malara directs it to the far side. Cameron Chan, who has checked in, sends it back out.
Again, turned over with no pressure on them, which is frustration.
Yeah, and that is maybe trying too hard to make something happen.
Yep.
Trying to flick that one to Sheehy, but it was blocked at the point. Sent back to midfield. Vikings with an opportunity here in the 44th minute. Ruvalcaba.
Just a little bit off again.
Trying to chip it to Lemos down low.
So I think the interesting thing with the game is about contrasting styles, isn't it? And which style will succeed.
Yep.
And I'll tell you, Santa Barbara's style is really, really hard to defend because you're always defending pressure. It's not like you knock it up there and there's no one there. I mean, Sheehy, Sulfit, they press.
Well, they seem to be, as I eyeball it here in the first half, I think part of what's effective about this is that it seems that Santa Barbara is winning more than their share of the contested balls.
The second balls, you're dead right. I mean, and that's the frustration because when you're a possession-oriented team, you want to get it down, settle, build. Yeah. Well, they ain't letting you build anything, and that's the mark of a team. Again, look at Sheehy again. She's going through players, the determination, and the thing is, we've not seen that from Diablo Valley.
Yeah.
Ramos looked great in the first 15, and then Lemos looks dangerous, but they've got to find those players, and they're not building. So.
Yeah, this is when they've effectively taken the ball out of their hands, metaphorically speaking.
Yes, you're right.
They're not able to get their offense going.
Coach,
we're in extra time.
Coach, and any subscription to the notion that DVC maybe took this game a little lightly, considering that they're playing a team that was ranked 14 coming into the playoffs in the South?
Well, what I would say to you is 26 of the last 20 state championships have won by the South. So they'd be silly to come up here and think they weren't playing a good team. But I think they're giving them respect. I just think Santa Barbara are doing really well.
Yeah.
And the energy is this is exactly how they played against us in the second half of our game at Santa Barbara, and then in our playoff game, they were just like this, so hard. And we're a possession team, similar to Diablo.
It's a team that's really evolved throughout the year. It's almost like Jeff. What's the movie? Is it Cinderella Man?
Yeah.
The story of Jimmy Braddock.
Yep.
Yeah. No, you're right.
That's not the same fighter.
But, it has to be a credit to Sisterson and the team. Obviously Santa Barbara's known for their men's teams. They've done really well, and John's worked ever so hard with the women. And it's tough because he doesn't know who's coming in. They just come in. It's not like he can say, "Well, I've got 7 kids coming from this school." There's only 4 high schools in Santa Barbara, so done a great job. And like I say, it is a Cinderella story, but I don't think they're a 14 seed. You've seen that this evening in the first half of this game. So when I got drawn against them, I was like, oh, no, not again, right?
Nothing worse than a conference opponent who knows you well and you know them well. And
I can honestly say in my 21 years at Ventura College, every time we play Santa Barbara, it's a war. They always come strong, Whether they win or they lose, whatever, So my money right now is on Santa Barbara. I mean, I just think they have momentum.
They've really dominated the goings-on, especially in the second half of that first half. If you're looking for good news for Diablo Valley, this is the first time in the postseason that Santa Barbara hasn't led at the half. So if you're Diablo Valley, if you haven't given away a goal, well, then you're still in the ball game. So they can at least head into the half tied at 0. We'll step aside very briefly, rejoin you for the second half here. You are watching the men's and women's soccer championships in the CCCAA here on SoCalCollegeSports.com, brought to you by Joe Cap Realty.
Santa Barbara and Diablo Valley. Second half coming up in a short while here on SoCalCollegeSports.com's continuing coverage of the 2016 Soccer Championships live from Ventura College in the VC Sportsplex. Join Jeff Stoynoff, Mike Cepeda, and Steve Hoffman with the call of the action coming up in just a bit. SoCalCollegeSports.com. This broadcast being brought to you in part by Joe Cap Real Estate.
heading to the second half in the second and final women's semifinal here in the CCCAA Soccer Championships on SoCalCollegeSports.com. And remember, you can follow this broadcast on our site, www.SoCalCollegeSports.com, on the CCCAA site, cccaasports.org. You can also follow on the VC Sports Network at vcweplayhard.com. So a lot of places to find it. Hope you will join us, not simply for the rest of the game tonight, but we will have the finals in their entirety on Sunday. 10 o'clock, the men's final. 2 o'clock, the women's final. Here on SoCalCollegeSports.com. So you can catch the soccer championships in their entirety.
Diablo Valley are going towards the scoreboard end of the Sportsplex. Weather's perfect. There's no wind. The flags have died. So
well, let's talk a little bit about, Hoffy, what might have gone on in the huddle at the half. What's the instruction that you imagine that we're getting on either side here in a scoreless game?
Well, I think Santa Barbara is going to, John's going to want more of the same. They're playing tough, doing the right things, playing those big balls in. But I think the biggest one would be Diablo Canyon, because Diablo Valley, they're not getting possession of the ball. They need to get back in the game. We've not seen Ramos. We've not seen Limas in this game, other than in the first 20 minutes.
Yep.
So I think the key now is, can Diablo get the ball down, pass the ball, and possess a little bit more, make 4 or 5 passes, slow the game down. Santa Barbara, more of the same. Press, win that ball, and try and get it played in a little bit early.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine for Santa Barbara that it's not going to be more of the same after they really dominated much of that first half. Swing and a miss on the center ball as Cameron Chan tried to dial one up on the run. And instead it will go all the way across where it'll belong to Santa Barbara.
So this is what I was telling you about in the first half. Right now you've got a defender taking a kick. Limas should be on the edge of the box. They should have Ramos on the edge of the box because you can't be offside. So tactically, maybe that might be a better move for them.
This ball won by the Vikings,
Turnover.
but the centering pass turned back over. Abigail Guillen sends it forward. A loose ball recovered by the Vaqueros. One-timer sent in by Maya. And they will play it back.
Interesting change. Saperstein has gone up for number 5 for Santa Barbara, who went off early in the first half, halfway through the first half. She's come back on and she's playing as a number 9. It looks like Santa Barbara may have gone to a 4-4-2 to try and get the wide players.
It's an opportunity for Shoffett. Fans it out, and the shot on goal, but stopped by McLaughlin.
Yeah, interesting tactical change. Whether they'll stay that way. Looks like they put Sullivan in midfield.
The goal kick, again, won by the Vaqueros. And it appears in the early going here in the second half, it's more of the same problems for Diablo Valley. As again, they just have to fan this one outside. Loose ball, out of play, and back to Santa Barbara.
I think the change, looking at the change that Santa Barbara have made, they may feel that Diablo Valley are not that fast at the back. So they've gone with a little player that's a little bit smaller but faster, rather than Vandenberg, who's the big, strong centre forward.
Chloe Lindemann sending it across. Touch pass outside. That's as much passing as we've seen from Diablo Valley in some time. Couldn't get much going in the way of forward momentum, but they did have possession, at least for a few seconds. A battle for the ball on the far side.
Good recovery.
Sent back out by Santa Barbara, still belongs to the Vikings. This is Ramos on the far side with a little move, trying to center, and instead cleared away. And it will belong to Diablo Valley again on the throw-in. Right back to Ramos.
I think definitely Diablo Valley at halftime have had a good talk. They look like they're kind of back in this one a little bit. Nice post-up play. Nice post-up play. Very nice.
Lemos with the spin.
Ooh.
Center. Nobody there.
Almost.
Had a chance.
She'll look to...
Sheehy drops it off. One-timer back out toward midfield. Fought for. Vikings have it. They'll send it back and set up. Lindemann back outside. Weinstein had it momentarily but lost it. Saperstein in control. Back out to Maya. Maya hooks one in, but it's cleared away. Just underway in the second half. We're in the 51st minute. Long pass, Saperstein tries to leave it outside for Schaffet. She'll track it down. Schaffet streaking in from the right, looking to center, has it in there and just wide. Terrific pass, and Sheehy was point blank.
Great penetration.
Well, that was the first time, I think, in the second half, Hoffy, that they got that speed
Yep.
in space. That's a terrific, that was all set up by a terrific touch pass from Saperstein. Out to the side to find Schaffet. And Schaffet with a terrific feed, and Sheehy, to have one more shot at that one. If you're Santa Barbara, that's as good a chance as we've seen.
Again, we're back to that same pattern of play, aren't we? A little bit direct. Great pressure. Look at the pressure.
Sheehy putting the pressure on, but the Vikings hold. Now the giveaway gives it back. Montano tries to enter, and instead turned away. Back to midfield. The Vikings have it on a rush. Ale Gonzalez lost the handle. And we have a collision on the field between Gonzalez, and I'm trying to see who the other players. It might have been Chloe Montano. And they're both still down on the field and being looked at. See if we can get the replay. And just caught the tail end of it there, and it was
Head-to-head.
it was, yeah, it looked like, okay. Yeah, good call, Hoffy. I think, yeah, you see there, and just got tangled up, and then I think it just the
If you watch
head bump there.
their heads go down, they're both going for the ball, they just run into each other. But
And then,
interestingly enough, Santa Barbara settled back into that rhythm in the last couple of minutes when that chance, they went back to that. Diablo started off well. Coach gave them a good halftime talk. They settled, they tried to connect. They made more passes in that 5-minute spell or 4-minute spell than they did for 25 minutes in the first half. But it's tough because Santa Barbara will come back and they'll just keep working you.
yeah, I mean, is there a difference as they continue to look at both players on the near side? Is there a difference? Is physicality the difference here so far today? And by that I mean the physical play, but also the speed. Is that what's dictating this matchup really in its entirety at this point?
Well, if we look at Diablo Valley, they've got the kid up front, Lemus, who's good, but she's a post-up player. She's a player you've got to play into and then play off. Well, the problem they're having is when you look at, they have the ball, they play that ball forward, there's no support for her. Whereas when you look at Santa Barbara, they've got 3 runners every time, and that's just, like you say, the physicality, the speed is definitely playing a major part, and style of play.
Yeah.
Style of play. Obviously, head injuries are real tough, and certainly not, hopefully both these kids are okay. But, doesn't matter who they are, it's a big loss in a game like this. No one wants to be going off the field.
Well, both of them are sitting up, and that's a good sign, certainly. It's Ale Gonzalez for Diablo Valley and Chloe Montano down, and now Montano is to her feet. And so, again, you look for positive signs where you can. We won't know, but they'll take both players off. And they're still taking a look at Ale Gonzalez as she sits up. Chloe Montano walking off under her own power, so good signs here.
Yeah, I think she's a little bit, maybe it was her head that was the main contact.
Yeah, and okay, so they're going to,
maybe she got a cut.
yeah, they're going to help Ale Gonzalez into the cart to take her off the field, and obviously at this point they're going to take every precaution and be as careful as possible with any of the players, so that's what we'd expect to see in this situation. And They now start to take Gonzalez away.
It looks good. The face is covered, so it could be a cut.
Yeah, it was in that situation where it was the inadvertent contact, but at a high speed. So
Yes.
they'll obviously be very close, obviously, with a head injury as well. Going to want to take every precaution.
They have protocols they'll kick into place for her right now, and the most important thing for her is her health and well-being,
Right.
and not necessarily the match. And that's why we have those neutral trainers on the sidelines.
Yeah, absolutely. We're in the 55th minute, so both players will be replaced on the field.
In actual fact, I don't think we'll tell you this before the game, but Santa Barbara are wearing the thing they wear in helmets when you get a head injury, the impact. They're all wearing those. They have a modality they put on their heads. On the sidelines, when they head a ball, they see the G-force. So Santa Barbara actually have been using this for 3 years now. And of course, they feel they can help with head injuries.
The ball will belong to Santa Barbara on the throw-in. Sent in and cleared back out to midfield. Bouncing ball, Lindemann sends it back up. Both teams battling. The Vikings win possession. This one lobbed into Santa Barbara territory. Both teams attempting to establish control. Hard run by Ruvalcaba. Working left. Tries to switch the attack, and that one sent away. Santa Barbara trying to mount a counter as the ball creeps out of play on the far side. Battle for the ball, and Diablo Valley sends that one forward, and again, nobody home.
No, the problem for Diablo Valley, when they play that big ball, there's nobody up front except for Lemus. It's not the best ball for them. They need to build. They need to possess the ball, move the ball, and build an attack. It suits Santa Barbara when you keep doing that because you keep turning the ball over.
Well, and if you go by what we've seen from the numbers, and, Noel Lemos with 6 goals in the 3 games leading into this one, it feels like Diablo Valley is kind of wanting Noel Lemos to make a play.
Yeah.
And that's understandable in a way because that's what she's been doing for 3 games. But with a lot of white jerseys around her, it doesn't appear to be happening in this particular matchup.
Well, and the reality is she's not going to run by anybody because she's not fast enough. But, we know she's got other special talent. And they've played to that talent all year, and they've got to try and find a way to do that now. Whereas I think Santa Barbara, with their forwards, have played really to their strengths. Very much so.
Diablo Valley emerges with the ball.
This is where they've got to keep moving the ball now and not just play short.
See if they can set up their offense. Weinstein with a little move but lost the handle. The one-timer, Sheehy, in a race with Lindemann. And it's Sheehy who not able to track it down as Lindemann sends it out of play. And will we see a corner kick here? I believe this is off of Lindemann, so a chance for a set piece.
Yeah, and they've been dangerous. We've had 3-4 corner kicks I think in the first half, and all of them led to headers by Santa Barbara, by the Vaqueros.
We see Wolf heading down low, along with Sarah Vale. Don't see Vonderberg on the field. This one's sent toward the net, and it's wide of the post. So out of play.
They'll be disappointed with that one because that's set pieces are big, as we saw in the boys' game, in the men's game, when the set piece won the game for.
Yeah, Fresno off a free kick.
Yeah, and they're key.
And we're trickling into the 59th minute here, and you get the feeling that this is a matchup where we're talking about one play might ultimately decide this one.
I think for sure we're looking at one play, and again the ball's played forward early, but unfortunately Lemos can't get there. She needs to play higher on the deepest Santa Barbara defender, and we've not seen much of Ramos. She looks like a nice little player, but we've just not seen her in this game. She has to. Caroline Ramos has to be.
Yeah, a couple of moves early,
yes,
and an opportunity early in the game, but you sense that maybe there was an adjustment made here, and haven't seen a lot of Ramos over on the left side.
No, the adjustment was made in the first 15 minutes. When it was a good adjustment from Santa Barbara.
Maya Over to track it down. Sent back out. Diablo Valley will maintain. Weinstein, a little move. Drops it off. They try for the give and go. But Ruvalcaba unable to get behind the defense. Saperstein moving over. Has that one poked away.
That's what Diablo's got to do. They're going to build an attack through combination plays because they're not going to play that direct. But I'm agreeing with you. I think that this game is going to come down to whoever makes the first mistake. And we've seen games like this in the past where a team's kind of dominated and one mistake. This is key for Diablo, moving the ball, pushing the ball. Again, didn't look to switch the point of attack. And good ball forward, though.
Tried the one-timer going for Lemos, and it's Lemos who tracks it down. But her pass is broken up. Counter opportunity. Saperstein again trying to leave it for Shoffett. Can Shoffett track it down?
Look at that speed.
And it's Shoffett battling for the ball. But instead, it's Diablo Valley that will clear it out.
Good defending.
Santa Barbara has it back. Saperstein back outside. Now the Vikings get it back. Again, the long pass to Lemos, knocked out of play, but it'll stay with Diablo Valley on the throw-in. As you get later and later, you feel like Diablo Valley has been walking a tightrope since about the 15th minute of this game, but the tightrope exists on both sides. One mistake, as you talk about, on either side.
This is Lemos' strength right here. This
Lemos
is her strength. That's
spins
her strength.
left, in from the left, gets a shot, and it's a goal! Lemos setting it up for Diablo Valley in the 62nd minute. I'm not sure. It might have been Cameron Chan. We'll wait on the announcement. It was Lemos who set it up with a terrific move. And then I saw the centering pass. Yeah.
Look to both of us like it was Chan with a header, but again, Lemos, you got to give her credit. She rode 4 tackles, great cross, excellent finish. And they've really not been in the game so much.
Well, and I think Lemos, with the bigger frame, what happened was they got her a little bit deeper in territory, and I think that worked a little bit more. She didn't have to cover quite as much ground. She made one move, and she was in on the box, and that's where she found Chan.
That's her strength. We talked about it throughout the game that, you need to give her the ball in the right areas, and the right area for her, as we just saw, is when she's got her back to goal, 2 players on her, by the corner flag, beats both players, and great cross. But what a finish. What a header.
Yeah.
I mean, it's quite easy to miss that one, but quality stuff. This is another one. Lemos is in the area where she likes to be.
Has that one poked away, but it's going to go back to Santa Barbara. And what do you do now if you're the Vaqueros? You've been dominating the action, but you look up at the scoreboard, and it's now 1-0, and you're trailing.
And I mean, the reality is Santa Barbara don't need to change the way they're playing. They're playing to their strength. The last thing they want to do is try and do anything different. But you know yourself, we're in, with 62nd minute, nerves will creep in. And the main thing now is to not give anything away for the next 10 minutes.
Ruvalcaba goes down. Ball sent back out, but it stays with Diablo Valley. Dargan on the penetration, has that one knocked away. A chase for the ball. Saperstein giving chase, but they'll send it back. McLaughlin will trigger it back in.
Good pressure again.
A battle on the far side. Another turnover. Saperstein on the far side. Tries to lob that one toward the center, but it's blocked at the point of attack and sent out of play. It's going to stay with Santa Barbara. Lindsay Wolf will bring it in.
For a big throw. Sullivan's got a big throw, so they'll go front post. The tough thing is now the energy they've expended. We're 62 minutes in. They've worked really, really hard, and they haven't got any reward for it. It's really, you talked about it before. You said to me about fitness, will they last, style of play, and it's tough because they've given a lot. Now for them, they've just got to keep doing what they're doing, and hopefully they can get a mistake out of this Diablo team. They defended quite well.
And for Santa Barbara, it gets a little bit tougher as they'll have to get one past all NorCal goalkeeper McLaughlin.
Yeah, and you know.
Yeah, Katie McLaughlin. So
obviously, if you're Santa Barbara, you're not going to change your structure right now. You'll stay with 4 defenders. But, you know, we think about it. You've got Lemus playing high. They don't need to have 4 back there. They could probably go to 3. And I can tell you against us, both games, they changed their formation and went with 4 up front.
one-timer on net, but stopped by Camarillo.
Camarillo had no chance with the goal as well. I mean, it definitely, certainly did the best she could do, but just an excellent finish.
A battle at midfield, and Santa Barbara's got it.
That's that ball they like, though.
Down the far side. A race for the ball. And it's Diablo Valley that will send it out of play and give up the throw-in.
Now mental toughness comes in. I'm looking at...
Yeah, Lindsay Wolf.
Lindsay Wolf signaling to the bench. She wants to come out. That's not a good thing. Mentally, it's not a good thing. She was, you know, waving, take me out. She made a big run. And obviously they're going to make that change. Maybe she's got an injury. But she's played really, really well for them.
Yeah. And played significant minutes.
For sure, yeah. And that thing is, like I said, the grind of the game now. You know, the amount of mileage you've put on the clock here for these players. They've worked very hard, Santa Barbara.
McLaughlin holding. Now she'll go.
Brought Vanderberg back on up front, so they'll have that physical presence. But
Ramos looking for Lemos up ahead. A battle, and it's Lemos who comes away.
That's what she does really well.
Lemos working on the left, drops a pass, but it's blocked.
Probably if you equate it to basketball, she'd be like a center, like a Shaquille O'Neal or something like that, right? Where she can hold the ball up, and you're not going to give Shaquille it in the open court. So, but she does really well in that situation.
Although, don't tell Shaq that.
No, really.
He liked being in the open court.
I won't tell. He's bigger than me. He's bigger than me. Santa Barbara's got to focus now and not give a goal away, and just get back into that rhythm that they were playing. Yeah,
well, I think it's a terrific point. It's a tenuous moment. If you lose focus and get yourself down 2-0, that really changes the dynamic, at least at this point. One play can pull you back even.
You're 24 minutes. There's 24 minutes. There's a lot of soccer to play, and they just can't lose focus and get down. That's the point. That's the style they want to play. Right there, that ball over the top. Unfortunately, it's gone out of play, but they've expended a lot of energy. But I still think there's a goal in them. I still think there's a goal in them. The worrying thing is Diablo. You know, when you start pushing a little bit higher, and you could get yourself in trouble.
Well, you still have Sheehy and Shuffett on the field. So the speed on the outside is still there if they can drop one behind and perhaps get a good look. Malaro with the steal. Drops it off for Rubalcaba. Ahead to Lemos. Lemos with possession. Lets it go from 18 yards, and it's blocked.
That whole sequence came because Santa Barbara tried to do the possession thing, which is really not their gig.
Yeah.
You know, I think it was Chloe in midfield. Montone had a chance to play the ball early, and she chose to try and keep it, lost it. Again, Santa Barbara should focus on what's got them here.
Yep.
What's got them here.
Much of the action seemingly dominated by Santa Barbara in terms of time of possession and opportunities. But the big blow in the game, the goal, coming from Cameron Chan off a terrific feed by Noel Lemos. And it's 1-0 in favor of Diablo Valley. A battle on the throw-in. Sent back out of play. It's going to stay with the Vikings.
We haven't really seen a Santa Barbara response to the goal as of yet, like a consistent, 3, 4, 5 minutes of pressure. Look at again, Lemos doing exactly what she did. 3 players, and she still keeps the ball.
Warding them off and sending it back out where they can set up.
This is what they want. This is what Diablo Valley want to do. Move the ball. Move the ball.
Ramos with a little move, looking to center.
Dangerous.
Lobs it in. Chan's there. Loose ball in front. Blocked out front. A potential game saver. The block by Santa Barbara on a terrific opportunity. Remember that moment.
Unbelievable block.
Was it Gardenia Maya?
Gardenia Maya, what a block on the line. It was a goal all the way. Kept her team in the game.
Unbelievable.
But again, that was started by Lemos on the edge of the box. 3 players on her.
Yeah.
Her ability to play under pressure.
Yeah, keeps that possession alive, and then Ramos turns it into an opportunity. And for Diablo Valley, an opportunity to go a long way toward putting this one away. But as it stands, it remains 1-0. A battle for the ball.
No, I think as we've saw, now lovely early ball for Ramos, but it's gone out. I think we've seen halftime talk was good from Diablo Valley as far as the lineup and what they wanted to do. But again, the difference in the game is Lemos getting the ball in the area she wants to get it.
Yeah.
And we've seen Santa Barbara get their key players in those moments and just not be able to take the chance or that last touch. But again, I still think there's time for Santa Barbara to turn it around.
Yeah, we're in the 71st minute, but you'd expect that we're going to see a fair amount of extra time as well with one injury stoppage that took a little bit of time off the clock as well. The one-timer sent back in, and it's the Vaqueros who will have to reset. Free kick coming. Long pass, Vanderberg gets the header back on goal, but nobody home except for McLaughlin. And McLaughlin gives it the boot out toward midfield. Ramos can't corral it. Quick throw in.
Oh, no foul. Interesting. Oh,
They
did give the foul. They did give the foul.
Okay, that was Shofford who went down. So yeah, they're going to call the foul,
I thought it was on a run again.
and we'll have the free kick.
Surprised they've not sent a few more players because obviously we're getting later in the game. Only 3 up front.
This one lobbed in, sent back out. Lemos, all the way back.
That's out.
No, say they kept it in.
Little bit.
Well, okay, no.
A little bit too hard.
No, all right.
Maybe she keeps that ball a little bit longer.
That is pretty good eyes to call the far sideline from here. Good 80 yards away, I think.
That's that coaching. That's that coaching.
Yeah, that is the innate sense of the dimensions of the field. Doesn't even need to see the far side, I think, to know it. Oh, this is your home field. Chan tries to one-time it.
Diablo are getting a little bit more in the game, aren't they? And that's a scary thing for Santa Barbara.
Ruvalcaba goes down hard,
Oh,
and that's going to draw a whistle to be sure.
could have been there.
Did that bring the yellow card?
I don't think we got a yellow card now.
Okay.
I haven't seen one in the last 2 games, so
Yeah.
dangerous again. Don't know whether Diablo will throw too many people forward on this because they're going to keep 5 back. They don't need another one, right? They
Right,
just need to keep what
yep.
they've got. So left-footed, no right-footed.
Lob toward the net. Camarillo able to come away with it. Vanderberg able to control. Circles right on the attack. 3-on-4, tried to drop it for Sheehy. And Diablo Valley will try to mount a quick counter. Chan drops it off.
Ooh, go back into trouble. She went back into trouble.
And we got a turnover. Back to Santa Barbara. Sheehy on the spin move. Good pressure.
Got a little bit
And
of a
Sheehy's
kick
got
on
to
the
give it
knee.
up.
Got a little bit of kick on the knee, then actually turned. A little bit of contact. But it's the good news for her, he went out for a corner. It came
Yeah.
after. So now Santa Barbara, you can see the difference You know, 5, 6, 7 players going in the box. And they do have Vanderburn on, who scored 6 or 7 goals this year with her head. The Norwegian, big, strong girl in the middle, on the goalkeeper right now.
The corner ready. Here it comes.
In swinging corner.
No shot.
Dangerous.
The one-timer high up. It looks like McLaughlin comes down with it.
No foul. McLaughlin did well.
That's a great job by McLaughlin in traffic, I should say.
At the highest point. Dangerous.
So an opportunity again for Santa Barbara, but unable to break through as of yet as we creep toward the 76th minute. Ramos trying to work through traffic, gives it back to Santa Barbara, and they'll send it in. It's almost as if, in hockey parlance, that Santa Barbara is trying to employ what would be tantamount to kind of a dump and chase,
Yes.
where they're trying to send it in and then use the physical advantages to retrieve the ball and get the opportunity that way. Vanderberg.
And I think they've expended so much energy. They're not as vibrant up front. We're not seeing as many of the he running by people. You know.
Schaffet with a little move.
She's done a great job there. Now she likes that. That's the
coming in from the right. Possible 2-on-1. Schaffet centers.
Oh, brilliant chance missed.
And he fanned on it.
Just couldn't get there.
Sent back out. Maya keeps it in. Diablo Valley will play it ahead and reset the defense.
Yeah, they're getting a little bit deeper.
Catherine Sullivan had the centering pass broken up. Malara swings it across. Dargan over to the far side, and Ramos goes to work on Wolf.
Dangerous.
Around Wolf.
Dangerous,
looking for Lemos. Lemos turns right. A little move back to the left, but can't get the shot off in traffic. Kept in by Malara. Chan with another opportunity. They battle. And it's loose and corralled by Camarillo.
Looked like an offside call, I think, at the end. No.
Were they saying, okay.
No, it wasn't. No, it must have been a foul on him.
Looked like Maya and Chan battling, and that was a good job by Maya, holding off Chan.
Probably one of the first times that Ramos has gotten open on that side, and she did really well. Santa Barbara making little mistakes right now. Concentration, they're tired, they're chasing the game. They've just got to get back to that game plan.
And Lemos has been decidedly more active in this second half. A couple of opportunities, and I think you put your finger on it there, Hoffy, when you said that. I think it was the halftime talk that Diablo Valley has come out and done a great job of getting back into what they do well in the second half.
You've got to play to your strength, and she's definitely a strength of the team. If we look at number of touches on the ball in the second half.
Schaffet
great penetration.
Trying to center. Blocked out front. It's still loose out front, and McLaughlin able to slide over and make the stop.
She's okay. Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's the difference in the game right now is that Santa Barbara, we've seen Lemos have probably 40 touches in the second half, 30 touches. In the first half, she had 5.
Yeah.
And one was a tremendous opportunity. So I think that's the key. And the same with Ramos. And we've seen her more and more come into the game. Their midfield has touched the ball a bit more. There's been a bit more passing.
Well, and I think one other thing worth noting is that it would appear that the entrance of Cameron Chan changed the dynamic somewhat as well.
Yes.
Long pass into the zone, but Vikings back, and they'll clear it out to Malara.
See, and where that field was tight, where the centre backs from Santa Barbara on the halfway line in the first half, they're deeper now. You know, and that's not helping them. They've got to try and make the field as small as possible so they can apply as much pressure as possible.
Vanderberg will come up and put some pressure on McLaughlin, who picks it up.
It's getting near the time when Santa Barbara may have to think about changing formation. I'm not sure how that will help them because they're playing to their strength now.
Yeah.
You know, they play a direct when they can. So, but you're into 10, 11 minutes plus injury time, which we think is about 3 minutes, maybe 4 minutes. So it really is down to now seeing if they can break them down. And then the risk factor of, obviously, if Diablo get another goal. Good early ball.
So Shoffett sends it in, but the Vikings will clear it away, give up the throw in on the far side. This one launched toward the box, cleared away. A battle for the ball. Santa Barbara still has it. Poked away. Ramos looking for transition. Up ahead to Lemos.
Don't get that one.
And Lemos can't track it down.
Lemos is more of a player that you want to try and hit as a target, hit feet, because she can build from there.
Well, I think we have to be impressed, too, is the way that she can initiate offense by using the frame to ward off and then redirect the ball, set up that offense.
I think she's like that kind of player in basketball that can post up. Not everybody can post up. There's an art to that, and she has that nice thing that she can do. And it's, she's not going to sprint by people, but let me tell you, around the edge of the box, in this situations like this.
But I think she's also got some value sort of coming out like in that high post and coming out up top and initiating the offense by a touch pass or redirecting the ball, maybe shifting the attack to another side, and seems to be able to bring that to an offense as well.
I think if you look at the second half, I think they played to her, whereas in the first half they played around her. So I think that's the difference in the game. She's had more ball contacts, and they're a better team, there's no doubt about it, when she's involved in the game. The same with Ramos. And I think as the game's fluctuated here, the last 10 minutes, the fatigue factor, the energy that Santa Barbara put in that first 45 is definitely starting to show a little bit now.
Near turnover in the backfield by Santa Barbara, but they corral.
This is the kind of ball they need.
This is the counter ball, but the center pass cleared away. Madeline Perry looking to get that counter going. Sheehy finds Maya. Maya on the one-timer. But again, with 4 back for Diablo Valley. Not much going on there. Ramos
really
puts the left foot on it, but overshoots Lemos.
Probably better off playing to her feet.
It's a high kick from Camarillo. Takes a big hop. Sheehy wins the ball. Montano has returned, and that's a good sign. Loses the handle, though, and Lemos on the far side. A couple of Vaqueros in chase. Leaves it for Ramos. Sends one toward the box, where Santa Barbara will clear it away. Wolf in a battle, but the Vikings have it. Center ball, sent back out. Montano giving chase, but it's kept in by Diablo Valley. Ramos wins the ball. Ramos coming in. She's going to put it in for a goal.
Unfortunately, a turnover, not the time you want one. The ball was a 50-50 ball, and unfortunately, it just didn't get the...
Well, I think in the simplest sort of parlance, I think Ramos wanted it more on that play. That was just a loose ball that she won with. It just looked like a little more effort, a little more left in the tank, I think, to the point that you've made as well about style of play and the possibility of fatigue, and that looked like a tired play from Santa Barbara.
Well, and like you say, I agree with you 100%. Ramos wanted it. She wanted it a little bit more. And that little bit of extra effort. Tough for Santa Barbara.
Well, it's got to be. It's disappointing. I can only imagine when you feel as though you're really dominating the action and you head into halftime, still in a tie game, and you come back out. But I imagine from a coaching standpoint, it's one of the great things about this game that'll drive you crazy, huh, Coach?
Sure, and look, I mean, the reality is at halftime, John really couldn't change a whole lot, just more of the same. And we talked about it in Diablo Valley. They needed to change some things, and credit to them, they've changed some things. So, it's one of those ones that Diablo, I think, winning becomes a habit.
Yeah.
And I think they've done a great job. This is dangerous, though.
Trying to get the counter. Shoffett able to chase it down. Looking to center. Puts it on goal, but McLaughlin well positioned, makes the easy save.
Unfortunately.
All Shoffett could do on that play, nobody else was back. And tried to put one on goal, but McLaughlin working on a shutout here in the 85th minute.
I'm going to give a shout out to my friend Ian Woodhead, who's the Santiago Canyon coach, and I think he's watching us via the internet. Just sent me a text, and I think he agrees that critical players in games win games.
Yeah.
And I think Lemos tonight, for me, would take the man of the match award. I know Ramos scored the last goal, but definitely the game changed.
Yeah.
In the second half when they got Lemos.
Well, I think it's interesting that it was we believe that it was Ramos and Chen that had the 2 goals, but I think you're right. The player of the game was Lemos that kind of really brought that all on.
Yeah, because I mean the first goal was made out of nothing. The assist was just the assist was it right in your heart, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But you got to give credit to Santa Barbara. They continue to play hard all the time, no heads down, and the game's been played on a fairly good spirit.
Yeah.
I mean, hard fought, but which is a credit to the kids and the athletes and both coaches.
Well, not a big surprise in an event like this when you get down to 4 teams after everybody starts the season, that we're talking about a game that could have easily gone the other way, but one of those opportunities in the first half, and maybe it's a 1-0 game at halftime, and that may change the whole dynamic here, but you have to give an awful lot of credit to Diablo Valley and the way that they have responded in this second half. As badly in some dynamics as they were outplayed in the first half, I think they've really turned the tables in the second half.
I think style of play, they've implanted their style of play a little bit more in the game, more keeping the ball, slowing it down, and they found their key player, and that's what this is about. And Santa Barbara, let's face it, they were a low seed.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show you the quality and the depth of the community college women's soccer game in California this time. I mean, I told you this before. We talked about this before, that I was not a happy camper when we had to play them for the third time. Because they're a good side.
Yeah.
And to go away to Santiago Canyon and do what they did there against all the odds. I mean, that's tremendous.
Yeah, going on the road and winning that game, I mean, that is as impressive a feat as you're going to see. You go back to the old adage, you guys were 2-0 against them in the regular season, and it's hard to beat the same team 3 times in a row. And
And Diablo, I mean, let's make no mistakes. Diablo, they're not in their own environment. They're on the road.
Yeah.
They're not used to playing at night, which is kind of a little bit different than what we are at. So, but a tremendous amount of credit to them in the second half. They've done what they needed to do, and for all Santa Barbara's good work, you've got to praise Diablo's defense.
Yep.
They've stood strong and they've been challenged, and the goalkeeper's made a couple of saves, but not really that many, right?
Yep. And we will have the final for both the men and women on Sunday. So, unfortunately, I know you're on your way out of town this weekend. We'd love to have you back, but you escape our clutches here on our coverage this year. But as you look ahead, what do you see in a potential matchup as you watch these teams against? It's Diablo Valley will take on Cerritos if this holds here in the 88th minute.
Well, I think, again, it's going to come down to key players. Obviously, Cerritos got Leon, they got Yamala. I mean, they got some really talented players. They play good soccer also. So I think it'll be an evenly matched game. Cerritos has got that knack of winning championships.
Yeah.
And that they've been there, done that.
Yeah.
So for Diablo, it's going to be their first time, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting. I think one of the keys will be can Diablo Valley survive what will be another gauntlet early. And Cerritos has that way of jumping on you very early in games and getting the lead and then going from there with their high-powered offense. But, with Caro Jaramillo and a number of other playmakers on that team, I think if you're Diablo Valley, you're just trying to get through the first 10 minutes and still be scoreless in that game. And I think that will no doubt be on their mind. Counterattack, opportunity. Wolf streaking in from the left, puts the left foot on it, but fires high.
Not a bad idea at all. Did a good job. And, we're down to what we think we're in injury time, maybe 2-3 minutes left.
Yeah, we're in the 89th minute, so at this point, I think you have to, whenever you can, put a shot on goal, and you hope.
And I think what Santa Barbara can walk away with tonight, and obviously no one wants to lose in these games, but they've given everything. They've played to their strengths.
Yep.
The coaches have done a good job, preparing them. So I think they should feel very good. You know, the worst thing in the world is when you go to the playoffs and you don't play well.
Yeah.
Whatever game it is, whatever round it is. So
Yeah.
I think they can walk away tonight, and they played really well. And unfortunately for them, they've come up against a team that's just had a little bit more than them.
Yeah. And, I think a team that demonstrated it's interesting that we're talking about 3 teams here with very little experience on this stage and one team with nothing but experience, it would seem, on this stage. But I thought this was also a very mature performance,
Yeah.
a championship pedigree type performance by Diablo Valley, to not panic in that first half when they weren't able to get done very much at all of what they wanted to do in this matchup, but then to come out and play a very solid half in this second half, I think speaks very well to where they are mentally.
Yeah, and like you said earlier, they've won a lot of games, and I'm sure some of those games have been close.
Yeah.
And they didn't panic. Quite easily to panic as well, because Santa Barbara did put them under a lot of pressure. But again, the quality of what they do showed through, and they got back to what they wanted to do, which was finding their key player.
We do have an injured player down that they're looking at on the far side.
It looks like a head injury again.
Yeah, as the teams.
It was a 50-50 ball. I might have been even running into her late in the game. I hope she's okay.
Yeah.
She's walking.
Well, we saw Chloe Montano was in a collision earlier, and she came back on the field. We did not see Ale Gonzalez again.
No,
I think they were going to take more precaution with Ale Gonzalez. So they take a look at another player. Well, getting back to the matchup here, perhaps we would have foreshadowed what happened here if you look back in the round 3 game where it was Diablo Valley that broke a scoreless tie in the 80th minute. So they had demonstrated some patience before and the ability to persevere in a tight game. And they were able to do so in a similar vein here as the first score of the game came, I want to say in about the 63rd minute. I don't have the stats in front of me, but it came well into the second half. So,
yeah, the actual injured player there, it's interesting because it was Carla Ramos that went off with the head injury. Hopefully she's going to be fine.
Oh, yeah.
Because she's a big key player for this team.
Oh, yeah.
So you would hope that it's not a severe injury.
Well, she'll have the day to recover tomorrow as they work here, and then they'll be back in action on Sunday at 2 o'clock for the women's final, which we'll have here on SoCalCollegeSports.com. And we are into extra time.
Well, we'll have a treat for you on Sunday. I believe that Oliver Gramon, who's the women's coach at Fresno, is going to come up and do a little color with you for the Fresno game. So
oh, that's terrific. Oh, great.
We'll reach out to him, and then we'll find you another guest
all right.
for the second game.
Well, we will look forward to that. If we can't have you, Hoffy, we're gonna take then we'll.
Well, I thoroughly enjoy doing it.
We will go with our substitutes then.
It's fun to do. We'd love to do it.
Yeah.
I'd be here anyway, outside in the cold, and I got to sit in the warm and
work
with you. So
yeah, there you go.
What more could you want?
Yeah, we'll provide you a little shelter here, and
That's right. And it's been a beautiful night. I must say the wind that I was worried about.
Yep.
We had a wind advisory earlier today. Didn't for a while. Didn't come out.
Yep.
Flags are flat down. It's a beautiful night in Ventura. It's chilly.
Yep.
Probably about 62 out there. So, of course, our friends in England and the rest of the world will be saying 62.
Yeah.
Is the sun shining?
Well, I make the point here that I grew up in Chicago, but I've come out here and my blood it took about 2 weeks for my blood to thin, and now I think of 62 as cold. So
well, we're the same.
All those winters I spent, and it didn't toughen me up one bit, evidently.
No, so. I think once the blood thins.
Yeah, once you get out here, everybody turns into a Californian, I guess. It's
that's it.
It's all over. And we are in extra time, finishing it off with the score 2-0.
Very near the end of the game, I think, now.
So let's set the table then for Sunday. We will have the men's final. That will be Mount San Antonio College taking on Fresno City College. That'll be at 10 a.m. here on SoCalCollegeSports.com. We will have coverage of the game and the award presentation, trophy presentation. Into the center, and the header just wide. Out in front of the box.
Great delivery.
And if the score holds here in extra time, the women's final will be at 2 o'clock, and it will be Cerritos, having won earlier today over Folsom Lake, taking on Diablo Valley as they close in here on a berth in the state championship.
Should be
ball loose in front and cleared away.
Should be a really exciting game. I would love to invite all of the folks in Ventura that love this game to come out on Sunday and support. We have the championships here, and we're back again in 2018. It's not every day we can have a state championship.
And if
here
you
at
are
Ventura College.
unable to be here in person,
Yeah.
we'll be here, SoCalCollegeSports.com, so you can still see the game as we'll have another corner kick coming.
VCWePlayHard.com. You can get the game
Yep,
through the
on the
website
VC Sports
and
Network,
Just,
yep.
just go watch the game, support the game.
CCCAA sports.org as well, so you can find it in a couple of different places, and you don't want to miss the championships. Here are 2 games left to crown our champions in the 3C2A. And if that's not enough for you, we'll have the women's volleyball championship as well.
Yeah, let's not forget that the women are going in. I believe that's at Pierce College.
Yes,
State
yeah,
championship.
exactly. Boy, you know.
Local
You
stuff.
know your sports schedule, and
Aye.
that'll do it.
Big supporter. Congratulations to both teams
Yeah,
on a well-played game. And a great day of soccer here in Ventura.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Diablo Valley with the 2-0 win here, and they advance to the state championship where they'll take on Cerritos College. We'll come back, wrap things up here on a long, great day of soccer here on SoCalCollegeSports.com. Stick around.
Day one in the books here. SoCalCollegeSports.com's coverage of the California Community College Athletic Association soccer championships for both the men's and the women's. The first game of the day, tough to match in terms of drama, but we did have a great day of soccer. A little bit of some sloppy play out there, but to be expected considering the stage and the jitters. And I thought all teams really did a good job of competing here at the highest level of the 3C2A.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think I'm not sure what you didn't tell me this morning whether we had too many yellow cards, but I mean the games were played in a very competitive spirit. Everybody played the right way, which is great for the staff, the coaches, and like you say, you had drama, you had one of the home sides losing with 4 minutes left. I mean, it was one of those ones, and Santa Barbara tonight who gave everything against a very good Diablo Valley team.
And how about, in particular on the women's side, but really in all the games, how about the star performers really showing up today, too, on the big stage as well? We just saw Noelle Lemos with a big second half for Diablo Valley. Saw Caro Jaramillo earlier with a couple of goals earlier. So I think that was part of the excitement of today as well. In all the games is the all-region players, the all-state players really showing up as well here today and, making their presence felt.
Going forward with our coverage on Sunday, we will have coverage for you. Jeff Storinoff will be on the call there for both the men's and the women's starting at 10 a.m. Our coverage will probably start around 9:30, so make sure that you check the website, SoCalCollegeSports.com. Happy you joined us today. Good numbers so far as we can see, and Steve Hoffman really picking up the broadcast and making us look good.
I don't know about making you look good. You're making me look good, you guys.
Well, you're making us sound good. We already look good.
That's true. But it was a pleasure to be here. And what we got to be proud about is that Ventura County hosting the state championships. We hosted a number of years ago on the Westfield, and unfortunately my team didn't make it that year either. Yeah. But it doesn't matter. It's a spectacle. And for all the teams that are here, it's the journey that counts. It's not the destination. If you don't win, Santa Barbara didn't win today, but what a run. Yeah. What a fairy tale run. It's the same with Oxnard, returning champions. It's not easy to get back to that last game, is it?
Yeah.
And then you got some perennials. Cerritos, and Mount San Antonio, a lot of championships between those
10
two teams.
10 Final Fours in a row, 4 in a row state titles from 2009, 2012. I mean, you talk about a team that seems to always be here.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, well, I think it's interesting, though, to your point, just as we cover a lot of the championship events here in the 3C2A, the field's getting deeper. It's getting a little more crowded up there, and it's you'll see these perennial favorites making it back, and there's power programs to be sure. But I think what we're seeing with 3 teams here making first appearance, chasing first state titles on the women's side, certainly that it's getting to be a deeper field, and we're going to start seeing, I think, more and more programs coming from different places at these championship events, and that's a welcome sight.
We'll set the table for you on Sunday. It'll be Mount Sac and Fresno, the top seeds from both the north and the south, and that'll be at 10 a.m. and then 2 p.m. It'll be the women. It'll be Diablo Valley and Cerritos, 2 very highly anticipated matchups, and I can't wait to see them.
Yeah. Well, we'll be here.
Well, I'll be watching you. I've got to work, but I will be tuning in on my phone as I'm supposed to be working and watching you guys. But I want to wish all the folks that have tuned in and all the folks here and you guys obviously merry holidays and safe holidays and again hopefully we have 2 great finals. You got the number 1 seed, the number 2 seed in both finals. Can't ask for much more.
Well, but next year when when you guys are in the state championship, you'll have your excuse for not joining us on the broadcast.
That's right.
Hey,
otherwise you're in here.
Maybe at that point we can have this guy mic'd up.
Yeah,
there we go.
Hey, that's the
finally
next
bring
level.
that in. That's
the next level for next
fighting
year.
for that for a while now.
Okay.
I just hope that by the time I meet you next time, Liverpool have won the English Premier League, and
honestly, that's all he cares about.
I just wanted to get that one jab in about Liverpool.
The real goal.
It's
find
like
out what's
you
really
and the
going
Cubs,
on here.
This guy in Liverpool.
That's it.
That's it. That's a direct correlation to be sure.
That is.
Certainly anything's possible now.
Special thanks. Let's not forget Will Cowan over here, the athletic director for Ventura. Always does a great job setting us up. We are very familiar with the Ventura Sports, the VC Sports Complex.
Yep.
And just a fantastic facility, a great venue, a great day of soccer, and Will Cowan really at the helm of that. And special thanks to him. George Managakis, director of championship events up at the 3C2A, and obviously setting us up for success. And you talk about a guy who really makes us look good, David Silverstein, doing stats.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you got some wonderful sponsors as well.
Yeah, that's true. Joe Cap, Nevco, E-Team sponsor. Really a shout out to them. Wilson, the official ball of the 3C2A championships. And that's going to wrap it up for our coverage. Day 1 in the books. And we will look forward to Sunday, 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. start times for both the men's and the women's respectively. For Steve Hoffman, for Matt Henson, Jeff Stoynoff, I'm Mike Cepeda signing off here for SoCalCollegeSports.com's continuing coverage of the 3C2A Soccer Championships from Ventura. Thank you for watching.